Oh, you know what I wanted to tell you? Somebody called me today. Okay. Anyway, there's a tree limb hanging very low on West Road, so the buses keep on hitting it. And they were wondering if somebody could trim the bridge.
Call the meeting to order.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Rhode Island, that's a long way, I guess.
Hi. Good, how are you? You made it.
we're on camera.
This is a lady that's from BRPC. It's a different person tonight, so he may want to know that.
Oh, I know her.
The first person.
This is a lady from...
Where is she?
I don't know.
We're gonna wait to open the meeting and sign off?
We'll wait
Open the meeting and sign?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh.
That's okay. Yes.
I didn't get a ticket. All right.
Yeah, how are you?
All right, I'm going to call this meeting of the Clarksburg Select Board to order for Wednesday, February 12th. We have a quorum. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First of all, I'd like to, got a lot of people here tonight, it's rare. The library trustees and Mrs. D. We have the school committee, Clarksburg School Committee, superintendent, chief and chief. But I'd like to just open up here real quick. We got a couple of housekeeping things we need to do before we get into the main reason we're here. So first up, the interlocal agreement for the Community Development Block Grant, which we passed last meeting. We need to sign off, right?
Yep.
Okay, you bring that right up here. You need all three of us, or you just need?
Just you, I guess.
It's up to you. I
Just
think
me?
we left one
Okay.
spot, but we're
Now,
not opposed to
you
that.
understand about
Okay.
the agreement?
Yes.
We're less
Yep.
fortunate to make some
Yep,
repairs.
that's a good
Yes.
agreement.
Yes,
Good
okay.
cause.
Sure. So Lennox Lee, Clarksburg. Okay, my dear, you're all set?
That was easy.
Thank you, it's a great program.
Oh, thank you.
This your pen? Or
No,
mine?
yours.
Okay.
Fingers
Thank you.
crossed that you...
All right, great.
Yes.
All right,
Thank you.
now, without objection, I'm just going to bring up, under new business number C.
And approval of minutes.
Huh?
Approval.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Thanks for reminding me.
Sure.
Okay,
So I get the big bucks.
that's right. Okay.
Oh, yes.
Actually,
Thank you.
thank God Jeff's around to keep me in line. Motion to approve the minutes from the January 22nd meeting, which I think you were absent, right? So you have to abstain from any votes, so
Yeah.
you check everything out?
I did. I make a
Everything look
motion.
good?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the meetings for the January 22nd, 2020 meeting as written.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, great. Now, we'll go to new business, it's section C. So, we've got a retirement in the building. So a longtime administrative assistant, Deb Crozier, is, I shouldn't say that. Well, our administrative assistant is going to be retiring, effective May 4th? Okay, so I just wanted to announce that. She had sent out emails to everyone, and we wish her nothing but the best. Okay, now that's done. Now, we're going to get into, well, everybody's here tonight, is public safety issues, Clarksburg Elementary School.
Are we gonna set forth some?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to, just so, because we have a lot of people here tonight, I want to sort of keep a little control here. So I'll ask people that want to speak to go through me, the chair. I will recognize you and you'll speak. Let's keep it clean and fun, and let's all be, at the end of this night, we hope we're all good neighbors. So that's what this is all about. Open communication, working on things that need to be taken care of, okay? So I think we need to do more of that as we move forward, because there's he said, she said type of things, and I think in all actuality, I would like to see some kind of a board formed where one member of the select board, some from the school committee, some from the library, public safety, all sit together. And if there are issues, there's going to be issues all the time, that we can sit down as adults and work them out. You know, this whole situation, I think while we're here tonight, it basically came over a key, the ability to have a key. So we're going to talk about that tonight. There's a lot of other issues that are probably going to be brought up tonight, but that's why I would like to see a committee formed, that we can hash out other things and come to an amicable agreement so we all can move forward. Just a little town, it's a little nice town, and we should all be able to find a way to get along and make things work. So, so all this, I guess, came about, and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody here, there was a mock drill evacuation, or a situation where there had to be an evacuation in the school of the teachers and the children, correct? A lockdown. And I believe Chief Williams, you were there. Was State Trooper Canada there? Or, yes, he was part of it. There wasn't able to get access into the library, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to turn it over to you, that I'm going to ask Mr. Cheeseborough to pipe in. This is on the public safety issue of it, so, yes.
Can I make a comment before we go into all this?
Yeah.
Because we have resolved a lot of the issues tonight. It'll save a lot of time.
Okay.
We also had specialists come into the library about a month ago
Yep.
and go through our security, our
Yep.
safety.
Yep.
And we're taking care of some of those issues. And one of the issues that he brought up when we said about the key was to get a Knox box. And I've already talked to Chief Cheeseborough, and we're in the process of having our keys changed right now. And as soon as the new keys come in, we're going to be installing a Knox box. So the fire and the police will have a key. And what it is it's a box that's attached to the school or to the library in case anybody wanted to know what it was.
Okay.
And he will have a key, and so will the police chief.
All right, but the bigger picture here is, I think the school needs to have a key.
The school cannot have a key under one reason,
What's
is
the
we
reason?
are part of the Western Mass Library, CWR, and we have library material that is on loan, and we cannot let anyone else into the library unless there's one of us or an employee present.
So, if there's a situation, and Mr. Cheeseborough or the chief of police isn't available,
Mhm.
what do we do?
Whoever is answering the.
What do we
whoever
do?
is answering-
Listen, this is an important, this is very, very important. This is public safety. You're talking about children, teachers, everything.
Right.
They've got to have accessibility to the library to evacuate.
If they call the police or they call the fire department, the police and fire department they'll have a key to that Knox box. Knox box.
But listen, to go back, and I'm going to go to Chief, because I want him to talk about this in particular, but I asked 4 months ago, Mrs. DePauli, if we could have a key for the school. And she said, no problem. We can have it over to Mary. They'll have a key to access the library. And no problem. Then all of a sudden, I checked with Principal Barnes, and I said, hey, Tara, did you receive a key yet? She says, no. I said, okay. And then again, down the road a little bit, I heard scuttlebutt that you met with the chief, and it sufficed because the chief had a key. Well, that really doesn't work for this board, I can honestly say. The simple fact is we asked for a key for the school to have. Now, the library is part of the school. You get your electricity, you get your heat. The town of Clarksburg pays the mortgage on the library. I understand there was a 99-year agreement, it cannot be found. I understand it fell back to a 20-year agreement, which expired in 2016. Well, all I'm saying is this, I need you to produce an agreement that was signed and executed and present it to the select board, and then I think we'll all be happy.
Excuse me, the select board signed that lease, that piece of paper with Mr. McLean, I want to say Mr. Wood, and I can't remember the third person, and that was the agreement. Am I right, Linda? When they did, Linda was on at that time.
Well, there's
I gave Rebecca Stone the copies of what we had on our files, which should be here in the town office too.
All right, but, okay, you brought that up, and I did more talking than I wanted to do, but Chief, could you please come up here and just address the situation as a public safety issue,
Okay.
okay?
One of the things, just to give you a little background on it, we regularly do lockdowns, different protective procedures up there for evacuations and different things. Regularly, the plans are updated, changed, and that. The past years that we've done this, we usually have the school call the library and say we're going into a lockdown. They go into the office and lock themselves in there. We go through and do the unlock the doors and let the kids out of the rooms or tell them it's okay. And that's what we've been doing for a few years. Now, a few drills back last year, I think it was our last drill towards the end of the fall, spring, when Trooper Canada brought up the fact that we don't actually go into the library and walk around and make sure there's nobody in there, and to let the library officials out of the office to make sure they're safe. That's part of the procedures. And because we have an attaching door, anybody from the school could get into the library. So that's where the key thing came up. The other plan we had talked about in our last couple drills we've done up there is we're looking at putting a box up at the school with all the keys to access the rooms. So whether it's fire department, police, state police, or for an emergency situation.
Where would that box be located?
It would be located on the outside of the entrance. So
The school or the library?
the school.
Okay.
So we would have a combination, dispatch would have the combination, MSP dispatch would have a combination to it, the fire department would. So if they happen to have an emergency, go into lockdown, we can come up, we don't need somebody opening the doors, we can go in, that gives us all the access keys to the entrance to the school, all the doors inside the school, they'll be all labeled, so we can go, any responding officers or firefighters will have access, the keys will be labeled, so they'll know what doors they go to, and be able to go through the whole school. That's what we're working on now to bring to that portion.
Knox box. A Knox box.
Yeah, so it may be something like that, a Knox box. I know we've been working on the entrance part of the school. That was something that was brought up last spring? Fall? Yeah, last spring we talked about the double entrance way.
Yeah,
that we're working on.
February vacation will start
Yeah,
working on
so we're always updating these plans to make it better. But this is the new thing that's come up.
All right, board, got any questions?
Well, is there any other reason that the school would need the key other than safety? Does the school plan on using part of the library? Was that part of the plan? Or is it just for safety? Is it just for when there is an emergency? Is that the only time the key's going to be used? Or is there another use
The
for it?
library, if there's a lockdown, the library themselves locks down into the office.
Yes.
So the only reason there's a key is so that you guys could check on the
Yeah.
library to make
Yeah.
sure there's nobody in there and stuff like
When
that.
the school's in operation, that door is set up so from the library, We have an electronic lock on it because the school safety. You can't just walk from the
What
library.
door are you talking, from the, off the addition? Off the addition?
Yeah, to
Okay.
go from the school and the library. You can't go from the library into school without the librarian pushing a button to unlock the door to let people into school. To go from the school into the library, there's a button on the wall you hit, and that unlocks the door so you can go in. But when we go into lockdowns, we have them actually lock the door, physically lock it. So you need a key to get into the library.
The librarians lock it or the
Yes.
school lock it?
No, librarians.
Yeah, but that's.
So there's no way of getting from the
Correct.
school
Yep.
into there.
Go ahead, Deb.
Mike, when we had our specialists come up, one of the things he tweaked for us is that Lynn has to actually open the door into the school to
Yeah.
lock it and then shut it. And he said there could be somebody on the other side and bang, you know?
Right.
So he suggested switching it where we have a push button lock, where Lynn can just lock it, don't open that door. We'll still have that combination where they still can come in and out, but she pushes the button. You know what I'm saying, on the inside, like you have a bathroom button, push or whatever, and then you can still have a key for it.
Which side of the door is?
The door needs a push button
Right.
on the library side, so she doesn't have to open the
So
door.
she goes.
No, I opened
You have to open the door, hit the button, and close it.
Somebody could be in there.
So actually, you need the key to go from the library into the school. So, yeah, that door, we didn't look at the door, that would have to be changed because that's
Yeah.
defeating the purpose.
Right, right.
That's what we would need the key for, is to get into the library. So now, basically, the key is to go from the library into the school. So we'd have to have that doorknob turned around.
Yes.
Because from a safety standpoint, though, realistically, that's not a good plan. Because why, no offense to Mr. Polly, about this man in the desk, why would the library have the say over who gets into the school? Because say, for example, somebody goes into the library and wants to force their way into the school, that's not a safe way to maintain the door. Like, I'll give you an example, and based on my experience. For 5 years, I was a principal at Brayton. We share that building with the YMCA. So, you know, the main area that is shared at that location is the gym. So the plan that we always had at that space was that in the mornings, because they have a pre-K or pre-care daycare program before
Yeah.
school, kids are in that gym as part of the YMCA. At 8:25 when the school opens, that door from the YMCA into the gym is locked, and the school doors are opened from 8:25 to 3. From 3 o'clock comes, and the school locks their doors again, and the YMCA opens theirs. So there's no access to either building from, we can't allow access into the so I'm just saying this is an example of another shared space. I think, you know, from the get-go, I've been uneasy about that whole door because really the control over who gets into what entryway is based on the library. So, and it's not saying, but I mean, where is it more likely somebody to walk in? Because the front door of the library is open during the day, right? Right, of course. So I mean, it would be, it's a public library. So if somebody walks into that library and wants to force their way into the school, what's the easiest access point to get into the school?
They're not.
Right, but the whole point of that is that needs to be looked at too, because that's not a safe system. I know we have people that go back and forth during the day because classes go on, that's their main source of traffic during the day is the kids going into the library. That's what we want to have. We want to have the kids in the library, we want to have the kids accessing that. But I think certainly if we're talking about safety and security, one of the reasons why, you know, we're talking about this whole issue is that Trooper Canada runs safety for schools across Berkshire County. He's a state police representative working with the local police departments to establish safety. You know, and he was going through that day with the different teams that go through the building to check every classroom out to make sure that they're following the safety protocols. When he went to get to the library, he couldn't. And he said he doesn't encounter any situation like that anywhere else that he goes. So, you know, in his words and Chief Williams' words, that's just not a safe situation. So that's why we're trying to upgrade
Right.
the safety protocols so that we can, whether it's a practice, whether it's something that really happens, we can have better communication and better safety between the school and the library, because the library is part of the school building.
Right, and just, I'll be right with you, Deb. That was my concern. That was brought to my attention, and that was a concern to me, okay? So I just wanted to make that order. Yes, Deb?
Another
Go ahead.
concern is when something happens at the school, somebody's coming in that door, Mary is to pick up the phone or someone in the office and call Lynn. Now, if something happens, Lynn's never gonna get the message that we're in lockdown.
Right.
It's happened.
It's happened. It's happened.
So that's how that works? So they'll, if there's a situation at the school, they contact you?
Mary will usually call, or she'll call in advance, have one of the teachers that yell out, lockout. But
Okay.
and I'm in the bathroom, I don't hear it, I mean.
It was,
and I'm in-
former police chief, Mike Azaleo that came up and gave us the help that we needed as a bystander,
Okay.
someone.
Okay. Mrs. Barone, you have?
Yeah, a couple of issues. First of all, an adult coming into the library is not going to have access to the school through that door.
They can,
No, they can't, it's locked. It's locked on our side.
But they
How are they
can.
gonna get the button? They don't know where the button is.
If they push the button, how long do they have to get to the door?
No, that's only from the school side.
That's only school
She,
side.
the librarian's got a,
they can have access, but they have, they force our access.
Well, sure, if they
If they're not
come in
exclusive, they could.
with an AR-15 and threaten her and say, okay, we've gotta have access to
Well,
the
don't say it
button.
can't happen, because it
Yes.
does.
Well, I know, but, and then to get back to Mr. Levanis's question, which hasn't been answered, is there an ulterior motive?
Well, we're saying there's an ulterior motive. I'm looking to see what the objection is on the library side. Is an ulterior motive what you're thinking of? Is that?
Is there an ulterior motive for the school to have the key?
Yeah, Safety,
Can I-
that's
can I
all
answer
important,
that?
safety.
this whole issue with the key was never brought up by the school. It was brought up by Trooper Canada when we were doing our lockdowns, when we were in the process of doing it. And one of the reasons was, which is why I thought that it had a key lock on our side, because one of the troopers from the barracks was up there helping us that day. He went down that hallway. Canada was in the main hallway, and I was down in the bottom part. And the trooper came back after and said, there's one door I can't get in through down there, because we have no key to get in that door.
Mike, you've got a key.
I've got a key for the front door of the school, but that means when we're in the lockdowns,
So that goes to
we
everything.
have to leave the school, I have to walk out around the school and come in to unlock your front door to go in that way. And I had a conversation with Trooper Canada on that.
Yeah, I just got a couple of things.
The whole issue with that is, we're working inside the school. We want to work from the inside out. So if anybody's in front of us, we're pushing them out. We're getting them out of the area. We don't want to start from the inside and just go from inside areas and push in.
Ron, can I make a suggestion, because this will probably go on and on and on.
Well, I don't have to go on forever, but I just one thing, yeah, go ahead, go
I
ahead.
think you were talking about having a committee
Yes,
and talking.
yes.
I think having a committee, having Trooper Canada come up to the library, meet with us to see what he feels, so we understand,
Yeah,
and then we get back as a committee.
we can do that. I know Principal Barnes wants to say something.
I just wanted to respond to your question. I don't believe that there's any ulterior motive that has ever been mentioned about needing a key, except for, like Chief Williams said, the issue came up when we had the lockdown drill. That's when it was asked for. I think a lockbox, knockbox can work fine as long as we get it and it gets in place and we have a key. Until we have a box, we need a key in case something happens
Right.
tomorrow at school.
Right. You don't
We
know,
don't
you
have
don't
a
know.
box tomorrow, so until you have a box in place, we don't have access to be able to get, people can't respond. Whoever's responding in the building can't get into that door to release. And I agree, I think it's not a great system that Mary calls to tell you about a lockdown, because really, in a real situation, she may not be able to do that.
I mean, we could be told that.
Right.
That would
I think
help it.
that's another piece that we should look at. We're looking at a PA system for the whole school. I don't know if we continue that into the library, because that
Or
would
even
be.
a walkie-talkie, you could.
Well, you know what, in all actuality, a PA system in the library would not be a bad idea. Because if you have a situation like that, everybody's alerted. And I think that's probably a great idea to have something like that in
It would
place.
go both ways.
Yeah, yeah.
This is what happened for us.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Danielle has a couple questions.
Yeah, just two things. Deb, when you started off, you and Lynn were talking about some kind of a board that said you know, why you can't have a key, you know, why,
the-
what is the name of that?
CWMR, Central Western Mass Automated Resource Sharing.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering, on that, is that just a general rule for public libraries, or are these libraries
Rebecca was-
attached to schools?
Rebecca was the one that came up at, we met with her last week, and she was also telling us that we could not give out a key because of that.
You can speak to it if
Well,
you
I
want.
would like to see some sort of literature that, you know, because these,
Plus,
your library is attached to a school, so I would just like to see some kind of literature, and we can talk about that later
So we
on.
voted as trustees that only, the library can only be opened if one of us or an employee is present, so that there's no one else saying, oh, wait a minute, can I borrow your key and go in and,
Yeah, I understand that, but,
You know.
you know, we still have to, we're talking about safety, you know, number
Right,
one,
well, that's
in
the
this,
other,
in this
the other part of
situation.
it too, because, you know,
And then just one other thing, I would like to know, has there ever been a lockdown drill while school children were inside the library?
no.
No, because they tell us in advance.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
I mean, that,
already-
you might not know in advance, not, you know.
That's right, that's true.
So, I mean, at some point, we need
We get
to
patrons coming
have
in
some
there
kind
and
of a
lockout and.
lockdown drill
We
when you
have
have the
patrons,
kids
We get
in there.
patrons come when that happens.
Well, right, and then I think
Well,
that's,
but, you know, patrons and
Right.
kid, you know, everybody who's
that is something
utilizing the
which
building, their
we're probably
safety.
gonna end up working to, is doing that. We haven't had the access to go into there, so it's never been part of the overall plan. And the plan keeps moving out and get bigger. As we fix certain issues, we open up to other issues that, so it expands out to be better. That's our sole.
I also was telling Mike that we have a preschool program now on Monday
Right.
mornings. We can have patrons in there along with the little children
Mhm.
and their parents.
Mhm.
You know, and we need to expand where that safety issue is gonna be.
Right, yeah, where those people are gonna go.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
With several things, you brought that up. For one, you know, I understand the part you're going about if the library, nobody's there and access. In the realization, if the school goes into a lockdown for whatever reason, and doesn't have to be shooting, it could be disgruntled parents running around through the halls, whatever. We're talking, it could be state police there, it could be on there, it could be, we don't know if the library's open. And we gotta go through the place and make sure everything's clear, make sure everybody's safe and that. So we don't know if the library's open. I mean, that's one of the things, so we can't go, oh, we can't go in because the library ain't open, or go find somebody and say, so we would just go in. And it could even be North Adams police, because they may come up to assist us. So that would be a difficult thing for us to be able to do. The second thing on, you know, the running the program in the school, which I think is good, you know, with the lockdowns and that, stuff like that, we would like to know about, so we can make sure that we know there's kids in there. We can work with you on that, like, you know, work with the lockdowns, let you know, so that you're aware, so you can kind of prep the kids so they don't get scared, because we're talking younger kids.
They're gonna get scared.
Yeah, Lynn has given the select board schedules
Yeah.
tonight,
Yeah.
and they have everything that
Yeah,
they've asked
okay.
us to bring.
All right. Principal Barnes?
Right, I just wanted to say, maybe, possibly the only other reason why a key might be useful is I know that you're heated by us, and I don't know if you've ever, and I really don't know the history, if there's ever been a heating problem or issue where Mike Peters, I know he goes over sometimes if there is some kind of issue, if it's cold, if it's a Tuesday, if no one's there, you know, to be able to troubleshoot, problem solve, because we are heating the library, you know, would a key help in that situation? I don't know if it's come up or not. And my last thought is just, you know, until we get a box in place, if that feels like it's a compromise or a space that feels good for everybody, can we get a key in the meantime and then have even a drafted memo of understanding? Would that make you feel comfortable if the memo of understanding said we would only be accessing the building in the case of a safety breach or a heating water issue, you know, something like that to make you feel more comfortable with the situation, because no one wants to go over and get books out, nobody wants to violate any order of, you know, I understand that you have materials coming in and out from other towns and libraries and things like that. No one wants to disturb that, that's not anyone's intention, that's not an agenda that's on anyone's mind, to my knowledge. That's never come up. I haven't heard anything like that. Our primary issue is safety and potentially a facilities issue, which just kind of came to mind just now. So, but I think the safety thing is real, and I appreciate that you went and tried to figure out, you know, from a consultant, what else, and you're thinking about the whole picture. I think that's great. I think that, you know, we do have to be concerned with safety. It's a real thing, unfortunately, right now, that we have to have these conversations. And the reality is, something could happen tomorrow. And tomorrow, we don't have a box outside.
Chip, how long would it take to put backs up if we gave you a key until we change our address?
Knoxville,
Mm-hmm.
they just put it right on.
So we could give you a key and tomorrow you could put the Knox backs up?
Let's not put.
Well, no, the Knox box consists of 4 screws interior,
Okay.
and then you put your lock in there and you give out the assorted keys. It's just a funny thing because you give us a key to open the box, we take that key out, we open the door. Then we put that key back, we close it, and we lock it.
So where's that key go, though? I thought it was a combination or something,
Yeah,
because
Oh, they can
everybody-
do combinations,
Right.
they can do all
The
sorts
one
of
that
things.
Trooper Canado was talking about would be a combination.
Yeah, that's what we call a firehouse.
Right, and then we would hand the combination out to you guys.
Yeah.
We would have at dispatch, so any responding units can call North Adams Dispatch, say we need the code, and they can give it to them so they can get in.
Right.
And I think we were talking to having it down at the state police barracks, so
The
that
code also.
any troopers can call there and
Right.
they would have.
Why don't you just put 2 Knox boxes in, one in the school and one in outside?
I
That I think
yeah,
is
I don't
best.
think we need one, really,
Yeah,
outside.
there's one building.
Well, if you want to come from the inside through, he's trying to push stuff outside.
Right.
You come from the school through the library and push everybody out that way. If you come from the other way, somebody's gonna come through that door. If I'm doing something not right, I'm coming through that door. You know, and I'll.
Come through the library door.
But there's
I'm
other
coming through that
exterior
library
doors.
door and
Well,
into the school.
We
The
just
thing-
need to
The thing is
deal with it.
on that, you got the locked library door, and you got the exit. So hopefully, they're not gonna spend a lot of time trying to get through the library door, they're just gonna go through the push bar and out.
You have 2 exits, you have the
Yes.
entrance and then you have the other exit out the back.
Right.
Which may happen, right.
Which would,
But again,
that would be the hope.
if you're giving people a key to an outside lockbox, why not put one inside? Or the combination. Put it right down there in the 3rd grade area where kindergarten, where Mrs. Howe is.
Mm.
Put it right there outside the library, and you got your key, you can lock that door, you got your lockdown. What's the combination? Okay, and you can change it after that. So if you're worried about somebody knowing it, we're gonna change it to this number now.
Yeah.
You know, and then you got 2 ways of going in there. And
Right.
everybody that needs to have access, school, us, you, troopers, will all have the number.
Well, the problem is then you're dealing with, we're gonna have 2 combinations
No, you just do the same combination.
on each box.
On each box, that's all. I
But
mean,
then-
you're throwing a lot of stuff here that's something that may never happen, or it could happen like you're saying tomorrow. It is a possibility. But, you know, you're trying all this stuff, let's keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple, you know, like I tell everybody,
Well, that's why we said if there's one box at the entrance of the school, we just get the combination, punch it in, there's all the keys. And who is the officer that's first there can grab
Well,
the
what's the
keys.
signal? I was misunderstanding your whole conversation. You got a clicker inside the library.
No, that's what.
On the other side, you got a button you can push and wave to the library.
That's when the school, since everything's open and running, so the kids from the school can go into the library during the day,
Yeah.
can walk in, get in there, and the teachers can get in there to use the library. But it prevents the public from just walking into the school during the day when using.
Right.
When it goes into lockdowns, then they physically lock the door to physically lock it, so the electronic stuff can't work.
And all that's gonna go away with a new key.
With the key, then we would have the key to unlock the door to walk into the library.
No, I'm just talking about the whole, how it's done currently, that will all go away.
No, that
No,
would still
no,
place
keep
in
that
the
electronic, because that
in
keeps, when
addition.
it's in use during the day, that still provides where nobody can just walk into the school from the public and
From the library into the.
Right, but then you're saying that Mrs. DePauli has to reach out, lock the door, close it, and run to the office.
that's for the lockdowns. When we do a
Right.
lockdown to secure,
Yeah, I-
She should get a new handle with a lock on the
Yeah.
inside.
That's what we're
Exactly.
working on. That's what we're working on.
Didn't J&J lock up the other day?
Yes.
Okay.
So what's the deal with the button then? What is this deal with the button? You push the button, I can let you in, but I
Right.
can't lock you
because
out.
before, the door wasn't locked at all. You could, anybody went in the library during the day, or went in, and with the school, they could just walk in the school. So,
From the inside.
from the library. So,
Correct, but you still had to zing them in, right?
no, no. The door used to be just, anybody coming can walk through the door.
Yeah.
And the problem was, anybody from the public who goes into the library could easily just walk over, open the school door, and walk right through the whole school.
But not
There was no
anymore.
way to secure it. So then we put in a one-way electric locking door, so the public can't just go from the library into the school.
Right.
But it's still set up so the school can walk into the library.
School people can
They
get
don't
into the
have to,
library.
they can unlock the door, and that's what the push button for is, so they don't need the librarian to buzz them in, they can just freely walk into the school,
So
into
what's
the
this
library.
button that's pushing in?
That's so-
Probably taking up time.
No, it is, we're not-
this is-
it's- but-
this
yeah,
is
it's a little
Basically,
confusing.
to shut the electric lock off. You need something from the school side to shut that electric lock off, because it's locked.
So if I'm in the Clarksburg school side,
Yeah.
I can walk right over to the library, hit that button, and walk right in?
Yeah, that's so the kids and the teachers can get into the
As long
library
as Linda's
during the
unlocked the
day.
door.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So why don't, this is,
Do away with that, guys.
right, I was gonna say, do away with that buzzer and have a lock.
Because then, every time the kids want to go from the school into the library,
Yeah.
they would have to go over and physically open the door.
Why can't, well, I
Because you don't want
understand.
the patrons going into the school.
Yeah, and then anybody in the library can walk over and open the door and walk into the school.
No.
We should get Trooper out of here and just look
Yeah.
over. There's gotta be a better way.
Yeah, there has to be a better way. Jen, I know you wanted to say
Yeah, I
something.
just wanted to, for the record, we do have a lockbox on order and it's part of our entranceway project.
Yeah.
So we will have our lockbox installed very soon.
Okay.
Whether we have keys in it or not, that's a little.
Okay. All right, so just to recap here, there's been a lot of conversation. There's going to be a box installed
Yeah.
on the outside of the school, correct?
Where would it be better, Chip?
Oh, no, if it's for the library, we want it right there at your door.
Right, at our door.
Yep.
But now that's for the front door of the library.
Right.
That ain't gonna, that ain't
Ain't gonna solve the problem at the
from
school.
inside the
Right,
school.
right.
No, but that's a whole
But
different
that's the key.
ball of wax.
So that's what they're talking about.
That's the key that will open that door, though.
Right, and we'll have another key in the other box.
You're gonna put two lock boxes?
I feel pretty confident.
They said they're putting a lock box
One
for the
lock
school.
box, if you-
Yeah.
I would think one lock
The
box.
lockbox at the school
Huh?
would have what?
Well, we're gonna,
key in it.
form this little committee too, I
I
think.
mean,
The
it's-
thing is the issue is not going through the front door of the school, the library.
Right.
The issue is, we're talking the door inside the school, from the school into the library. Now, putting a lock, the Onyx key over to go in the front door, I mean, I guess is good if, for the fire department, or if we go up to
Yeah,
have, it's just a thing at the
I don't mean to
library.
interrupt you,
Yeah.
but wouldn't it be simpler just to give them a key at the front desk of the school?
No.
Why?
Wonder if they lose it?
Goodness. So I got a question. So you asked before there's ulterior motive. Where does the distrust come from to the school? Where does that come from, Ted?
For what?
The distrust of the school, where does that come from? It's a school,
No
for
principal
goodness
has ever.
sake.
No principal has ever asked, do you have a key? No principal.
Really? There's
No
not a key?
principal.
My understanding there was a key at one point.
No.
But listen, so just so we don't get into an argument here, you know what? This world has changed. You have to be prepared for the worst-case scenario, okay? A little town like Clarksburg is not exempt from a big city. It can happen. We need to be prepared tomorrow, not a week from now, not a month from now. It has to be done now. Yes.
Yeah, I guess I would just say to that concern, hearing your concern about losing the key, Mary has worked at the school for maybe 18 years or so and has several keys. She keeps them in a secure spot. I've known her to be very reliable, very trustworthy. We could have your consultation on where the key goes. We can get your advice. I mean, we could do whatever needs to be done to make sure that you feel like it's secure. in the office, if that helps. But I agree, I mean, I think that there's just a level of just trust, of neighborly trust, and one of the things you said to end this meeting, or to start, was hopefully we walk out being neighbors.
Good neighbors,
And
that's
I
all
think
it's about.
That's part of this conversation, I think, down deep, that the superintendent just brought up, is that sometimes it doesn't feel neighborly when there isn't that level of trust in terms of just holding a key. I think we could work together to have a memo of understanding, hiding. And so if we ever walked into that library when it wasn't a security issue or a facilities issue, then we would be in breach of that, and you could hold us accountable to that. We'd be willing to do whatever that is that would make you feel comfortable, just so that we could have this in place and we can move forward. I think that's all it is. I think that's what the bottom line is. We want to have a solution to the issue of the key, so it's convenient and easy for us to access it, so that if kids' lives are at risk, if your lives are at risk working in the library, the people who are in law enforcement and responding can do their job and do it the way they're supposed to do it. I mean, having this position has made me more aware of all this stuff than I ever want to be, or ever thought I would be. And I think it's important that we heed, the advice that we're given, and I think that, we're willing to do what it is to build trust.
Yes, and I think this is a very important point that has to be said. This is a town building. The school belongs to the town, the library belongs to the town, even though you're trustees, the town, that's a piece of inventory of this town. So, we need to work together, because I don't want to have to make a motion here to say, okay, we're going to change the locks, and we're going to get a new key here, and that's going to be the end of it. I don't want to do that, okay?
Nobody wants to do that, but, and I'm listening to everybody, and I know there's a level of distrust with the school and the library, but the school seems to be bending over backwards to accommodate the library. So regardless, I think we need to make a motion that in the interim, God forbid something happens tomorrow, that the school needs a key.
Right.
The school has to have a key for safety issues.
Yes.
Can I bring up one thing? You're talking about safety?
Yes.
How about the parking situation that I...
That's another conversation for another day, and that's
No,
why...
that was supposed to be tonight.
No, it's not. It was a public safety issue, and it was about the key. That's why we'll have a committee put together, and we can talk about those issues in a different venue. Tonight is about a key, okay? A simple key. So I'm going to ask you that you get the key to the school tomorrow.
Interior and exterior.
Interior and exterior, yes. We need to have this done. We can't wait a week from now, a month from now.
It's only one key.
Okay, it's just one key.
So why couldn't we put the Knox box out there?
I don't want a Knox box out there. We can put a Knox box out there, but I want a key at the school. It's accessible to the school, not for chief from the fire department, or chief from the police department, or state police to get there. I want a key in the school. That's it. That's how I feel. I hope the board supports me on that, but I feel that way. It's very important to me.
We were under the impression that we were coming down here tonight to also talk about the parking in the situation where you cannot get an ambulance or a police car or any kind of fire apparatus into that parking lot at certain times.
Well, listen, I'll apologize for that, but I wasn't prepared to talk about parking tonight. I was prepared to talk about this key and the public safety of that building and the kids that are inside that building. That's all I was prepared to talk about. I said earlier this meeting, I'd love to see a committee formed, and everybody from different committees in this town form a board together and talk about them things, because I think those things can be worked out. I don't think this is the venue right tonight to talk about parking. The biggest thing here tonight was the key issue, and the safety of the teachers, you guys in the library, and those children in that school. That's all it's about.
The safety of the children. You're not helping the safety when you refuse to talk about the parking situation.
I have a question.
Yeah,
That's
go
not
ahead.
about parking.
Yeah, go
I would
ahead.
like to know, how can you just call up a company and have the locks changed on the library
We were
door?
told by,
Oh, you did, like, it
Yes.
went through, there's a process
we
that
are in the
was
process
followed?
of getting the estimate, and that's what
Okay.
Rebecca Stone had told us
'Cause
at our meeting.
It just sounded like you just, oh, she's,
I had
she
nothing to
says
do
no.
until you opened keys.
I talked about the inventory
that goes through CWMRs. I talked about the inventory, and I understand the trustees not wanting anything to happen to that inventory in that library. As trustees and as the library director, absolutely, you are caused with making sure that inventory is kept safe, and I wholeheartedly agree that you need to do that. And as far as the key issue, you told me that there would be a box that was going to be put up, and that's all we talked about. Right, that's all that we talked about.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
No, I just wanted to, get away from the parking subject
And
and,
she had the email that sent me, and I have it, telling me J&J locks and the number.
okay, yeah.
I saw J&J.
I was just making sure that you didn't just, that no one who occupies a town building just says one day, oh, I'm gonna change the locks on the door.
Let me clarify, those were the door, the break
Because that
room,
shouldn't
the
happen.
interior doors to the library. It was for the break room, it was for the bathrooms, nothing to do with the exterior doors at all. There's 2 of them, and there was no conversation about the key into the school. You had asked because there were some locks that need some changing, because there was either no lock on one side or the other. I don't know if it was the restrooms or the 2 behind where the entryway is, but that's why I suggested that you could talk to J&J. That's who the
And you
town is.
suggested it's been so long and not knowing how many keys are out in that's why it would be a good time to change it while
Exactly,
he's doing
because we're
it.
doing the same for other town facilities,
And you
but,
said that they were doing it here.
right, exactly. The chief is handling all of that. It's just one of those, it's a housekeeping matter that we shouldn't have to be talking about to the public, but it's, just one of those things. We've had a lot of, when you have staff changeovers, a lot of times everybody goes through and does that. But I just have a question, if you don't mind backing up, and I don't want to keep dragging this out, but I understand having, kind of public officials, whoever, to have access to library hours, but who is going to care to go look at these library posted hours to know whether the kids are in there during the day, whether the library is open or not? The last thing any public safety official, fire, police, anybody, law enforcement is going to be looking at. I understand why we have that, but this doesn't, who's going to be looking to find out, gee, is Lynn here today? Are there kids in the library at this time? It's that, I'm looking at it as as a parent, who really is going to go looking for this schedule? Is this just more for an internal tool for someone to have, so, for drill purposes?
Our hours are
just curious.
posted right there.
No, but
On
I'm
the
curious, what other mechanism, what other tool is this being used for, other than during a lockdown? Because obviously, you wouldn't be going to look for anything such as this if it was a real emergency going on.
Well, if there was a fire, you would want to know,
Why would you care whether there's kids in that library or not? You're gonna check every room.
Right, but if you know that the kids are in the library, that gives you 3rd grades in the library, okay. That means they're not in their homeroom.
But you're gonna be checking all the rooms anyway. You don't know whether there's 3 teachers sitting in there having a meeting.
True, yeah.
I mean, it's great to have, but things like that just completely go out the window when you've got a real emergency going on.
And just a good point, Jeff just brought this up to me. There's no security cameras in that library, correct?
No, we're working on that also.
Okay, that's important. I think that's very, very important.
That was what
Did
Mr.
you-
Gonzalez had talked to us.
Yeah, and
And
that's,
also outside lighting in the back, which is,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it is very dark back there,
Yeah.
and it goes with school building.
yeah.
and I think the PA system and the camera system should all be intertwined with both school and library, and somewhere, I don't know, at Mary's desk, maybe I'm just throwing that out there as an idea, but so that somebody can see who's is coming in and out of the library, in and out of the school at the same time, with the 4 different or 5, 6 different little panels, and that way, where everybody's sort of covered. Does that make any sense?
So we have, we're looking at the PA system and the security cameras currently. We're in talks right now. Are you suggesting that we then coordinate both the PA system and the camera system that we're looking to install and pay for everything? I'm just looking for clarity.
Yes, that is what I'm suggesting. As far as where the monies are going to come from, we'll discuss that, obviously more.
Yeah. But I think, Kara, to answer your question, I think if we're doing it in the school, we should have it in the library also.
Of course.
And anything with security, I think it's one big building, even though it's separated by a door, but it's still one big building. And I think as we talk about the importance of safety, that's imperative that we do that. Yes?
Just to set everybody's mind at ease, I'm working on the spec, like, it's on my desk right now, so
Yeah.
we'll be happy to include that, you know, a camera.
Yeah,
some
if you could,
privacy.
please, and
That's not a
that would,
problem. We can do
that
very
would
easily,
work.
As well as, you know, include putting a speaker, so when we do a lockdown, you can hear, but unfortunately, you're gonna hear all the
Yeah.
other announcements as well.
You know, because God forbid, you know, if something happened and you make an announcement and they can't hear it in the library, so.
So
You
that's-
you got patrons in there, you got yourself, you got, you gotta make sure everybody's safe.
So
Who
that's,
pays
that's
for
an easy
what
thing for us to do. And
portion
the other
kind of a
thing
thing?
is, if we do get a key, as soon as we get the lockbox installed, it will go in the lockbox.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, and I just think, because like I said, you gotta prepare for the worst. And we can leave here and then tomorrow, God forbid, something could happen. We need to have that. So, again, now I mentioned earlier, and I think, and I'm gonna make sure we put this together, I'd like to have a little ad hoc committee that involves one member of the select board, one member from the school committee, whoever the school committee deems they want on there. We'll have select person Lucci as our representative from the select board. The library can select, I'd like the chief, please, to be on there, and I will, yes.
From an operations standpoint,
Yeah,
a member of the
yeah,
team.
I think someone from there, so you'll have 5 members of that board. And we will send out a communication and we'll organize, we'll get a first meeting. I don't know when the school committee meets again, is it this week or next week?
First Thursday.
So maybe, Laura, if you can maybe designate someone from the school committee, library trustees, if you can designate someone, if you can, okay, and then once everybody's all set, we'll call a meeting, we'll get it all set, and we'll go from there, and we can discuss different issues, okay? Because I think
As
some
far
of
as
them.
number one is the parking.
Yes, and we'll make sure, we'll put an agenda out, and we'll have open conversation. Like I said, I think if everybody gets to talk, you take care of things, right?
So are you against us putting the Knox box in?
I'm not against it, not at all, but what I'm saying is, till we get the Knox box in,
As soon as he puts it in tomorrow or whenever he can put it in?
well,
Okay, I really think the school needs a key
yeah,
Yeah.
in the interim before, I don't know if Chip can get up and put a box in, but the school really needs to have a key until that box gets up. If it gets up tomorrow, put the key in the box. Well, it goes in the box, isn't that what we're
Right,
saying?
that's what
Yeah, but we were also talking about 2 boxes, one on the school side. I think all this needs to be worked out before we just go ahead and say, oh, we're gonna send Chief up there to put a box on the outside.
But we need it for the library anyway.
Well, you do.
What if it was a fire during the night, it wasn't on the school side, it's on the library side?
yeah.
He's not gonna go through the school,
Right,
he's gonna need it for the library.
right, but he has a key already to the outside, and he has a key to the outside already.
Yeah.
In their pockets.
Yeah.
But the school, doesn't, yes.
I'm just curious because, I mean, they're right next to each other. Does one box suffice for what, like one stop?
It should.
An
Yeah.
emergency
Right.
responder can go to one box and find everything they need in that one box.
Keep it simple, right?
He said 2.
See,
like the 2.
Exterior,
these are all the things that we need to discuss before we go ahead and say, we're gonna nail one up over here, we're gonna nail one up over there, we're gonna have one in the inside. We need to talk about this
Yeah.
first.
Yeah, that's why that
It needs to be
committee will be good.
discussed. Miss,
And I just quickly, if we're gonna put more than one box up, I think they need to be coordinated so that if it's a code, it's the same code. We don't want
Yeah.
state police trying to figure out 2 different codes or keys and all of that. I think if we could do it coordinated so that they have one code and they can
Absolutely.
safely access both places. And if there's one on the inside as well, whatever it needs to be that they deem, but I do think they need to be coordinated as to like our box and your box so that they're not fishing for different numbers.
and
Or keys
Officer
to get-
Kanata could help us out, I think, a lot with determining
This is
where
the
lock
issue when you
boxes
get a
need
lot
to
of
go.
keys in a box.
Right.
They all have to be labeled.
Yeah.
So if you have one Knox box at the library, that's the library. You can have one over in the other box too, that's fine. But this is the library key, and we can open this door with this key. We don't have to fish through keys, we don't have to look at
Yeah.
keys to see what the
Yeah.
tags say. You know, we've only been called to the library 2 or 3
But
times.
see, here's the issue. When, like with the fire department, it's an easier, more control. If there's a fire in a building, You're gonna respond with your fire department. You guys, you've already instructed your guys, here's where this is.
Well, you know what? Not to interrupt you, Chief.
We have a thing with the school,
You
we
guys,
got MSP, we got different agencies, they're all trained, go to the entrance of the school
That's fine.
and look for the
Okay.
box
All right.
there.
all right, so that's good, and that's where that committee will come in handy. You guys can figure all this out, but right now I'm gonna make a motion that the school has a key tomorrow morning at the front desk. Do I have a second?
Can we have it in writing that, Tara had said something about in writing if they had to come in to the library?
Why do you need writing?
Well, that they had to come into the building, they would tell us why they were there, so we know that somebody.
I don't think that's necessary, because it's a town building.
But also, if there was, for the heat or the water, we would want to know why you came into the library.
Well, if there's a heat issue or a water break somewhere, you would know.
Well, not really.
Yeah, you
Carl
would.
McKinney.
Oh, they did, they had a frozen pipe in there one time and no one knew it.
Really?
And
Yes.
it ran and ran and
Mhm.
Really?
ran.
Well, we can figure that out, but right now, I have a motion to make sure there's a key at the school tomorrow morning.
So just a quick question before you vote on that. Is this key
Okay, that'd be
open the
great.
door between
Yeah, we got it right now.
school and the library?
Will this key open the door between the school and the library?
Yes,
It will.
And it will
Yes.
also open the front door?
if it's not, we don't have it on the lock, on the, with the safety belt. You have to go in to turn that lock off, right?
Mhm.
So that will stay locked, right?
Yes.
Until it's opened by your
So it
key.
doesn't open it from the inside of the school unless
No.
you fix that over.
So how does the school get into the library when nobody's in the library?
They push the button on the
There's a
wall.
button.
When no one's in the library?
They don't?
They don't. They don't.
You're not allowed?
Not allowed to
Allowed
go.
to go into the
No,
library?
the kids aren't allowed
That's
to
what
go
we've
in
been
the
talking
library.
about for the
So
last.
all day Tuesday after 2 o'clock.
So, and that's something that needs to be broached along the way, not tonight, but it's something that needs to be broached. So, I think, did you get rid of the key?
Tomorrow morning would be great.
Okay.
I can give it to her right now.
Okay?
I just,
All
Got
right,
it right here. Take it.
okay, good. All right. Thanks, Mrs.
Thank you,
D.
but we still need to make a motion and.
Yeah, we're gonna make a motion that
Minutes.
that the library gives a key over to the principal at the
I'm
Clarksburg
gonna give this to
School.
the superintendent right now.
You have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's taken care of. Listen, so if you can, please make contact with Rebecca and let her know who from the trustees is going to be a member.
I am.
Danielle's going to be a member, and then you'll let us know from the school committee.
And March 5th.
Okay, Chief, you'll be on here as part of public safety. I'd like to have Officer Kanata, if you could reach out to him. If he has a question, you could give him my contact information. I will be happy to talk to him. I think it's important that he sits on that board. I think with that done, there is, next up, you got anything?
I'm
Yeah,
still
I-
just mulling over this.
Yeah, I got one more
Go
comment as well.
ahead, go ahead.
Go ahead, well, you want.
Well, I'm just still thinking about this door, so you need to unlock a lock on your side in order for the key to even work?
That's what it sounded like.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
so
useless, the key's useless
It's
then.
a useless key.
Well, no, they can come in the front door if they want to
Oh.
check the heat,
Okay.
something like that. And
So you have
But
access,
in an emergency,
So in an emergency, if the library is locked down, nobody should be in there.
right, right.
No guy's gonna be walking around the library when it's empty with a gun,
Why
right?
not?
That's
He
what we
shouldn't
do.
be.
Why not?
well, what if he had
Okay,
been
what if
from the
he
night
is?
before, or something, some
I
crazy
mean,
something?
But it's
All you
locked
gotta do is
down.
unlock the door, they can go on the other side anyway.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, the thing is, I understand what you're saying. And it's fine if the people there know, oh, the school's locked.
Are there
the
alarms on the
library's locked.
library? If I walk through the front door,
Nothing.
if I break the front door open, it doesn't alarm?
No.
See, the thing is if we know the library's locked, that's one thing, but you get multi-agencies coming in, they don't know the library's open, they go down the hall, they got a locked door,
Ron can make
they're gonna wanna unlock it,
the
they're
media
gonna
try
make
to
sure
keep
there's nobody
sensitive
in.
So if the library has
Yeah.
a school has a lockdown,
Just ask,
they call the library and say,
Well, it's on camera.
lockdown.
On TV.
Well, if they're closed, they don't call.
There's nobody in the library.
Right.
Yeah,
This
so,
information's on TV.
but on an emergency situation, we don't know that when we go in.
You would know that because Mary should know that, right? Mary should know if the library's open.
Listen, not to interrupt, but this is being televised. It's out there. So, again, we have the key, and I understand this buzzer doesn't make a lot of sense,
I'll show
but
you, next time you come over.
but we need to, that can be addressed in this group that we're putting together. But to me, if you have a buzzer and you have a key, the key's useless.
Yeah.
So, we need to find a way to make it work without the buzzer, I think, somehow, some way. And you know what, and listen, believe me, I'm sensitive, I want you to understand something, I'm sensitive to how you guys feel too, believe me, I am. I don't want you to think it's all against you, and I don't want you to feel that way. But there's gotta be a happy medium somewhere, and we'll get to it, we'll find a way.
We'll figure it out.
Yes, absolutely.
And that being said, I remember 9 years ago being on the school committee and addressing this parking issue, and it's never gotten anywhere. I mean, we've talked and talked and talked and talked. We've had suggestions. I've never seen anything implemented, but I know, and I got to say, I was under the impression tonight we were going to discuss this because we got all these, everybody here. But there's got to be a way that we can eliminate or alleviate that parking congestion. And I think the first thing on this committee that needs to be addressed is how to do that. And if you come up with an idea, it seems like, I've come up with a couple ideas over the years, but nothing's ever been implemented. And even if it doesn't work, let's try it so that we know it doesn't work. I got so frustrated with the select board when I was on a school committee because it's like, do something. So, and I'm promising, I got a few more months here. If you bring something to us, we'll try it. Even if Mike says, this is stupid, at least we tried it. And because we haven't tried anything to eliminate that. Go ahead, Tara, I'm sorry.
Well, just that, yes, when you were on the school committee, it was a question mark. We've met with the library, The only superintendent has been on board. There's been lots of conversations. We've had safe routes to schools come out and do a study. We have we have implemented some things. So I just want to clarify. We went from a single line coming in entryway to a double line coming in. So we did make that change. We painted lines for improved safety and for improved traffic flow. We've staffed it with more people outside. We've requested Chief Williams to come up and help with the traffic pattern. So we have responded in the ways that we've known how to respond.
Right.
We're very open to other suggestions, but we haven't found anything else that seems to work. So we have been trying to implement some things that have been brought to the table, for sure. So I just want to, and I know this is a conversation for another time, but I don't want us to leave thinking that we haven't, as a school, tried anything at all.
No, I read the SRTS report. I didn't get a lot out of it.
Right.
Everything I kind of already knew. Today, for instance, I went by the school at around 12:30, and the line was down there, out the street, So I'm coming down, somebody's edging out, trying to see if it's safe to, it is dangerous. And there's got to be, things have been implemented, I see that, but it doesn't seem to have really eliminated the problem.
Well, I guess what I would say is, on a school level, what we've been able to implement has been strategies and structures. We can't do construction, and I think when we went through the whole feasibility study, they revamped how the entranceway would come in. They widened that. They recognized that bank was not safe there, right? So they had added parking spaces that was part of that MSBA project. And so that was part of, they talked to the library and they had conversations, but we can't structurally change that macadam. So we would need the support of the town to figure out if you want to structurally change that entranceway parking lot. That's beyond our scope, I think, as a school administration, and we would need town administration to give guidance on how to do it.
Well, let me ask you this. You have 3 buses that line up
Correct,
on the side of the school.
correct.
Why, if, once those 3 buses, and I'm sure there's simple answer to this, because they've been thought of years ago. If those 3 buses are lined up, already in their position, what's to stop that stream of cars? And do you have a count on how many cars roughly a day? Is it 20, 30?
Yeah, we did a study just this past week, and we have about, I mean, not everybody's consistent every day, but I would say 50 would be the max.
Because that seems more about what I was thinking of.
60, sorry.
So what's to stop, once those buses are in position, the cars that pick up the students from going around the back of the building?
You can't pass a school bus. You can't have a car passing a school bus.
While even when the children are still in the school?
No one goes by a school bus. We don't have any traffic that goes that way. So, and we have kids then that come out and get on the school bus, and then that would be logistically very difficult to have traffic. And even if you queued up cars before the buses came or something, there's laws about passing school buses, and you can't do that, because, so that becomes really
So
difficult.
the bus is sitting there, it's not running,
Yeah,
but
we
you
don't-
can't go by it?
No, we don't have any cars go by.
He has his red flashers on and all that, stop sign and everything.
No, but the students are coming out, will be out momentarily, so.
Well, no, I mean,
we
prior,
have
I mean,
cars
from what I
running.
saw in this report, and one of these papers I read, the parents are lining up at 5 after 2 to pick up their students. So, I mean, that is part of the problem.
So there, I wouldn't say, it said in the report 5 after 2?
2, yeah, 5 after 2, yeah. And it's here somewhere in this mess.
I don't
but-
think
Jeff,
that,
today they were lined up at 5 after 11,
right, because it was an
Early
early
release.
release
You're
day.
right, right.
and they don't get out till 11:30.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you can't stop them from coming, but I mean, if, I just didn't know that you couldn't, I understand obviously when the lights are on that you can't, but I figured when everybody's in the school and the bus is parked there and there's no lights on, line the cars up around, and then once the school is dismissed, you don't let any more cars in, I mean, obviously, but.
Well, the ideal situation as far as, from a bus point of view would be to have all the kids, and I'm not sure if you're already doing this or not, it's just something that I know, to load your buses and get them out first before any other traffic leaves.
Would you put that traffic before it leaves?
Yeah,
right?
so so using the scenario that they have now, the buses are lined up on the side, the cars are coming in and going around the rock. The best case scenario would be to have all the kids come out of the building, get onto the busers, leave first, so all the bus students get on the bus, leave, and then you start letting the kids who get transported back and forth to school. But there's a lot of different things that we could talk about, even like, the things that have already been talked about that maybe we can touch base on again, like having some of these school choice kids be picked up at different
It's not all
bus
school
stops.
choice.
No, you're right, it's not all
There's a
school
lot of
choice.
residents that pick up their children.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
just want to clarify that, because
yes.
that was stated after the last.
It's all right, but you know what? I hate to cover everybody up, and I don't want to get into a discussion. Yes,
Coming across
yep,
the driveway while they were there, and our
Okay.
patrons can get hit also.
right, absolutely.
The elderly.
Absolutely.
I
And
understand.
that'll be a conversation for another
another
time.
time.
So what I want to do, is everybody done? Good. Now, report from the town administrator. Thank you.
It's in here somewhere. I just want to say that I had a wonderful visit with some of the trustees and with the library director last week, and Deb and Lynn both have some wonderful ideas for options to think about the parking, some of which have already been talked about, but I think, like you said, everybody coming to the table, working together is the best place to start. So we are still working on preparing that FY21 budget. I think we've had maybe 3 sessions. We have a few departments coming in a couple of weeks to meet with finance. The budget, I think, is looking pretty good next year. With all due respect to everybody that's working on things, maybe, I probably shouldn't say it out loud. Actually, I'm not going to, I'll wait. I'll jinx myself. The facility updates, we are working on the fire alarm upgrade here and the door replacement. I'm hoping I have a couple of, I've reached out to about 12 different companies, and we have 2. Hopefully one is going to come way under budget. So that'll help free up some money, possibly to help with some of these other projects, such as at the library, their lighting. I assured them that we will get that built into a budget somewhere. It's a capital project,
Yep.
even though it doesn't meet the threshold for that. There's no reason that those upgrades can't be made. And I have reached out, we've got to get our hazard mitigation plan updated so we can apply for any grant funding through FEMA. especially, and I know the fire station is looking to get a new generator. This will be a while out before we get this plan updated. I did reach out to 4 different firms, and I have heard back from Berkshire Regional Planning, and I'm working on getting an agreement set up with them to help us, and it came in right on target with the budget that we have set aside with the grant money. That's it for this week.
Thank you. Thank you. There's no unfinished business, no topics unreasonably anticipated. Any public comments? I just want to thank everybody. And listen, I look forward to that committee, everybody to serve on it. Be open, we'll get resolution to a lot of different things, so.
Yeah, please bring that parking thing up.
Yeah.
I really want to, I think this, if we put all our heads together, we can do something. It's just, I'm tired of talking about it, and
No, it needs to be addressed.
it really does.
I think
Yeah.
the key thing's over, so I think that can be the first thing.
And that should be the first thing.
Okay, now, I think it's great, that we have a committee.
Yeah.
Let's set a date.
We are
We'll
going to set
just
it.
talk about it.
Well, this is,
When?
When?
now, my next
What-
question
what
to you
month?
is, no, we're gonna get it done, we'll do it for the beginning of March, okay? And, yes, Deb, did you have something? No. We'll get it done, we'll get it set at the beginning of March. The school committee's gonna pick whoever they want to represent them. I know Deb said she'll be here, Danielle's gonna be from the select board, Chief Williams, and I'd love to see Officer Kanata as part of that, and Jen from the school department. So what we'll do is, I'll, with the help of the administrator, will facilitate the first meeting, we'll be in attendance, and then you guys can take off.
Can we make it at night?
Yes, we will, because it's hard during the day, so we'll make it at night, we'll make it at a reasonable hour. Was a 6 o'clock work for everybody, six just work for people? You know, you can meet on a monthly basis, I think, or, you know, and just have.
Hopefully it'll be done quickly.
Yeah, and then you'll get a resolution to a lot of problems, and it's the best way to do it. You know what, I think talking about things and exchanging ideas, it works. So I just want to thank everybody, okay? Thank you for everybody for coming tonight.
I do have one more item.
Yep,
We do have an update from the administration for the district and for their FY 2020 projects.
Yep.
Pending projects, I'm going to go to that first. The PA system, security cameras, and locks for doors, those are
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah.
They still have the administration area to work on once the entryway is construction. They have a couple of other housekeeping issues, and we can go into those as I get to them. But the asbestos abatement for the trophy case of the entranceway and the back stairwell, that all of these projects are going to be starting next week, if not this weekend, if not Friday afternoon. This is all out of some of the first two projects out of debt exclusion money. The contractor that was awarded the asbestos abatement project I just mentioned was American Environmental out of Holyoke. That came in at $9,945. Berkshire Carpet received the award for one of the teachers' rooms and the tiling in the back stairwell, and that was again out of the debt exclusion money for $9,865. And the entranceway, the end time will be starting next week, and the end time is pending some lead time on the glass. And the contractor, it was Geary Builders out of North Adams, and the total amount was $86,271. Part of it will be paid, $35,000 out of Safer Schools grant, and the other from debt exclusion at $51,271. That's it.
Yeah.
Just disclose something.
before everybody leaves, amongst this pile of papers, I found a letter. And I was going to read it. It says, "To the Clarksburg Select Board, Dear Ron, Jeff, and Danielle, this letter is my official notification to the board that I plan to retire on May 4th, 2020, from my position as administrative assistant for the town. I want to take this opportunity to say I've truly enjoyed working for the town, and I want to thank everyone for their help and support throughout the last 37 years. Although I'm looking forward to retirement, I feel sad and happy about this decision. I will absolutely miss everyone I worked with, as well as all the residents of Clarksburg. Please know that I will help during the transition phase in any way I can until my retirement date. Sincerely, Deb Shit cat. So, with no other business in front of this board, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Have a second?
I second.
All in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you.